So, second thing you got to do to be a real player is you got to check yourself out. First thing is you got to get to the end of the song, but the second thing is you got to ask yourself, gee, how did I do? Funny thing is, though, doesn't this kind of beg the question, how are you supposed to ask yourself how you did if you don't know what you're doing in the first place? Interesting, huh? Well, turns out that people go, oh yeah, geez, well, I guess in order to be a musician, I guess in order to be a guitarist, I would have to know something about what I'm supposed to be doing. What are the basic parameters? What are the basic guidelines that I'm supposed to be doing as a guitar player? You have to understand the criterion of the language before you'll be able to figure out how good a job you're doing of actually controlling it. Well, understanding the language of music, the good news is very, very simple. In fact, I'm fond of saying there's only 6 things going on in music. And if you understand these 6 different concepts, then at the end of each song you play, you can actually rattle off a checklist to yourself. You can go, gee, did I do that? 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 And if you can answer yes to all 6 of those questions, they're going to be clapping and throwing money at you in no time. Funny thing is, if even one of those gets away from you, they're probably going to kick you out of the band and get somebody who can. I don't mean that to sound scary. I mean, you just got to face it. You might think you're playing music now, but you may not be. You won't be unless you're satisfying these 6 things. And this leads right into our next big concept, which I call the 6 main areas of music. Another way of looking at it is music is a language, and it has 6 parts of speech. And you have to understand these 6 different concepts in order to be able to really control the medium. We're actually going to start down here with number 2. And, for example, when I used to ask people, what do you think the big nuts and bolts concepts are in music, very often the first thing that would come out of people's mouths is they would say something about the beat. Or maybe they would use words like tempo or timing, stuff like that. Kind of a fairly imprecise musical term there, but I knew what they were talking about. Particularly here in the rock and roll world, it seems that everybody understands that music has something to do with the control of time. You know what I mean? All music has a pulse. And this, of course, is just under the general subheading. I mean, these are just subheadings under the term I'm sure you also know, rhythm, R-H-Y-T-H-M. Obviously, one of the big concepts in music is rhythm. So, now, interestingly enough, this column over here on our chart is going to turn out to be the most important column because this is going to turn out to be that checklist that I mentioned. So, obviously, at the end of the song, you've got to stop and ask yourself, gee, did I keep with the beat? Question mark. Did I keep with the beat? If you did, they're going to be clapping and throwing money at you in no time. If you don't, the big hook is going to come and pull you right off the stage. You know, I always say there's no fooling Mother Music. There's people that can do it and there's people that can't. And interestingly enough, there ain't a lot of big gray area in between. You have to satisfy these 6 criterion or you're not going to satisfy yourself or any of your audience at all. Good news is rhythm is not a terribly difficult subject to understand. Again, if it's explained the right way, it's pretty simple to see how it works. And we'll be talking about that in, I think it's like lesson 6 or something like that. We'll be getting into that. But anyway, we'll leave that one for right now and go on to the next one. Number 3 down here, for example, oftentimes when I ask people what the 6 main areas of music are, very often they would look very confused because no one's ever really forced them to think about this before, and they go, sound. Music is about sound. And I go, well, okay, I like that. That certainly is true. But that's terribly, terribly broad, isn't it? We're going to have to get a little bit more specific about that as we go. And interestingly enough, we're going to leave this one for right now talk about it at the very end. Because another thing you'll notice is I've actually left out number 1 up here too. That's because number 1 is like the largest area of music. This is the one that we have the most to learn about. And you'll find that a lot of people actually have kind of a fundamental confusion about the relationship between number 1 and number 3. And it's a little easier to see that once you understand what number 1 is. And we'll get there in a couple of minutes. But now, let's go down here to number 4, the fourth main area of music. Yes, music is about sound. Music is noise, pure and simple. And as such, music has all the same qualities and parameters that any old sound has, like trucks rolling by, airplanes flying overhead, dogs barking, babies crying, trash cans falling down the stairs. It's all noise, and music is just simply noise too. I think it's just fair to say that when we humans play music, we take noise and we very precisely try to control it. So music is like controlled noise. And if there's one thing you can say about any old noise you ever heard, they all have a particular degree of loudness, volume, amplitude, whatever you want to call it. If you stop and think about it, you'll realize that all real musicians have programmed some little part of the back of their minds that whenever they're playing, they're listening to how loud they're playing. You have to balance yourself with the other members of the band that you're in, for example. Nothing will get you kicked out of the band faster than playing too loud and drowning everyone else out. But if some of your friends are in like garage bands and stuff, go over there next time and check out. You'll see the kid with the big amplifier is like drowning everyone else. The singer is over there going, and you can't even hear them at all because the guitars are so loud. And that's amateur Night City. They're not really going to take you seriously if you insist on playing that way. Not only that, it isn't just a matter of where your amplifier knob is set. You may find that you're called upon in any given piece of music that you play to play at different volumes right within the same song. Once again, take Stairway to Heaven as an example. Both the intro to that song and the very end of the song are very quiet and delicate, whereas if you remember in the middle of that song there's deafening drums pounding and electric guitars screaming and everything. And when they played that, they had to remember that when they were coming back to the end again that they were going to have to quiet everything down.
Hi, I'm Scotty West, creator of the Absolutely Understand Guitar Video Home Study Program. Hey, thanks for all the positive feedback on our video guitar lessons. We're now uploading new lessons right from our DVD Home Study Program. Each lesson is 70 minutes long, but we've chopped them up into 10-minute chapters to fit on YouTube, so each lesson will have 7 chapters. It's critical that you watch these chapters in order. Make sure you start with Lesson 1, Chapter 1, then move to Lesson 1, Chapter 2, etc. When you've finished all the chapters for Lesson 1, then move on to Lesson 2. Hey, some of this stuff you might already know, and some of it's a little dry. You're going to wonder, do I really need to know this stuff? The answer is yes. Each one of these chapters contains little gems of information that nobody's told you yet, and these are the missing pieces that are preventing you from seeing the big picture. Don't cheat yourself out of these valuable realizations. Stick with the program. Also, consider our complete DVD home study program. Our high-resolution DVD video is much better than these fuzzy little YouTube clips, and you'll also get all our cool printed material too. So good luck with your music and enjoy the lessons.